been a long week.
It
Long
also
semester.
has. A long life.
College.
Long existence.
Whew.
It's been a long everything.
Welcome back to Can You Not? Today's theme, as chosen by Amber.
No.
Oh wait,
Brian.
who chose it? Oh, Brian chose it.
Who
That's
else?
right.
If it wasn't
Oh,
me,
yeah.
who chose it, Joe?
It's death. Anyway, that's the theme of this week's
It is
episode.
death.
A little bit of follow-up. If you remember, we had a comment who said, who was talking about our YouTube URL and how beauty was in the eye of the beholder. And I didn't get that at first, the analogy. And I also mispronounced the commenter's name. But she clarified. She says it's Tamarai, not Tamaray, Tamarai. But she says, you are forgiven. It happens all the time. Yes, I was referring to the eye of the beholder. Thanks for the shout-out. She also said, I had to Google this Thomas Sanders person. I recognized his face, never knew his name before. Now I'll never forget him.
Good.
So you just turned
Everybody
on...
should know the good word.
So Amber created a new Thomas Sanders fan.
Good. There needs to be more.
Which
We could
means-
start a cult? Just kidding.
Also, if you go onto our Facebook page or Twitter, you'll see a lovely illustration by
That's not an
Ian.
illustration.
It's not an illustration, it's a photo collage that
It's an amazing.
that our fan and friend Ian did of Randy Jackson as a princess.
Andy
What
Jackson
were we
with the
talking
body
about?
of a goddess.
What were we
Joe
talking about?
said that there was a princess in his story who had the body of a goddess. I don't know why Randy
Oh
Jackson
yeah, and we
came up.
made it Randy.
You made
Jackson.
it Randy
Not really
Jackson,
sure
isn't it?
why we made it.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. We'll
It
have
started
to
so-
go
He
back.
said something about Simon Cowell, I think. or-
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the temper of Simon Cowell,
Mhm.
the body of a goddess, or something like
So it
that.
was Randy Jackson, obviously. God.
So thank you, Ian, for that. We really
Oh my
appreciate
God.
and the face of Randy Jackson. There's a show on Netflix called Black Mirror,
it. Great
and
show.
it is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You guys have watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, this will make this even better. So you know the episode.
We should just drop a spoiler alert right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, spoiler,
Spoiler alert.
alert.
What specific episode are you going to talk about so that people know?
I would like to talk about the episode with the woman whose husband died, and then she got her husband was always on social media, and so
Yeah.
her friend, sister-in-law, I'm not sure who it was, signed her up for this thing where it takes all of his social media stuff that was public and then turned it into a version of him that she could talk to, like text back and forth.
If people want to avoid spoilers, that's Series 2, Episode 1, Be Right Back.
Yeah.
But continue.
So she's talking to it, and then she can add all of his personal emails, like private stuff, and then she throws in like any videos and pictures, and then she can like call him, and then eventually they made this like robot. I don't know if it was like a humanoid.
That body
thing.
that they had to that they had to
Yes.
throw in the bathtub so
Yeah.
that way it could rehydrate.
Yeah.
Really
But
creepy.
in the end, she kind of like. Well, I don't know if I want to say the end, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, it's a
Was
spoil-
it relevant to your point, I guess? Is it?
The fact that she put it in the attic. I mean, it was kind of part of it, but
Yeah.
she puts it in the attic, and then
Because it ends up being a thing where like it's too uncanny to keep around, but it's
Right.
also too dear to get rid of, kind
Right.
of.
And
too
she,
much
like
the original.
it's too much like the original, but not enough like the original, so she didn't want to keep it around.
So like the
Yeah.
kid can go see him like once a week or something,
Yeah.
like that,
Right.
which is really
So
weird.
so we just went through the entire episode, so that's
Yeah.
how the episode ends.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yes.
I mean, my original point was, I feel like that type of technology is not that far away, but my second point being, if something like that were to happen, would you feel weird? Like, would you want to keep it away and like maybe talk to it every once in a while, kind of like she did?
I wouldn't have made it in the first place.
I wouldn't have made the thing, but I probably would, like, if Shelby were to pass away,
Well,
I would want to talk to Shelby.
And the other thing too is that she didn't want to do it originally. Like
That's
that was
true.
a big part of the episode
Yeah.
was
Her
she didn't want to
cousin
do it.
kind
This other person like signed her up for it, And like then it started IMing her because it started out just like IMing, and then it was like a phone call, and then it was a video chat.
I mean, I think she only did it. It happened the first time where it said yes, it's me, I believe, and then when she found out she was pregnant, that's when she went to it.
Yeah, and see, like. I'd love to be up on the high horse and say like I would never do that, but grief like kind of messes you up really bad. Right. So I don't know like. And
they could go for even things outside of an actual death, just missing somebody sometimes.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be weird.
You know? I don't know if I would take it to the extreme of making that person again. Like I kind of understand. Like say if I had a child with someone, right, and that person is no longer there, and I have to raise this child. Like on my own without that person being there, I feel like having that person for the comfort of the child, maybe not for the comfort
What's
of
that child gonna do when someday 5 years later goes, oh yeah, your mom died 5 years ago, and this
I would probably let them know. I mean, it's a piece of technology. This is not your mother.
I don't know. Well, the other thing too, though, is you could say for the comfort of a child, but you're still lying to this child, and that's still gonna cause. Like I feel like that kind of
that's
thing
what I'm
would
saying.
end
I
up,
wouldn't. I think I would let my child know this is the essence of parts of your mother. This is not your mother.
But like I don't know. Not to say that you can't do whatever you want, 'cause you totally can. I don't know if I would do that.
Why don't you do this right now?
Oh my goodness!
Make another show.
I don't because I still feel like. Because even if you're not lying to a kid, that kid's gonna get attached to this thing. And how weird would it be to be like, oh, like you're in school and it's like you're talking about your mom, but you don't actually like your mom died, like, and you're talking about a robot and like all the memories that you think you have of your mom are a robot. And what if like, oh my God, let's just keep going. What if your mother died at a point in your childhood where you have memories of her, and then this robot comes in and you can't tell which ones are real anymore. Like, you don't know which memories you made with your actual mom, and you don't know which ones you made with this robot thing. Like, I don't think that's too much. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I don't think you ever truly get over grief, but I think there is so much value to time passage. And it's so hard because we don't want time to pass. We want to feel better now. We want to, we want some of those things to heal over instantly. And so we think by doing something like that or reconstructing these perfect memories of this person and obsessing over them, like I said, even if someone that you just miss, you idealize that person and you want them back, and you want
one thing I thought, Kinsey, you sorry,
just to summarize, I just meant in general, like I think time is so essential for those kinds of things, and I can see, but in the moment you don't want that, and so I see how people would probably actually do that.
Or just to add on, or people, sometimes it can seem like it's not going to end.
Yeah, that's true too.
I think what was weird about it was meant to help you move on. You know what I mean? Like when her friend or whoever it was that signed her up for it was like, this will help you move on. You know what I mean? This will help you deal with the grief so you can go on to the next thing, But I think if they designed it that person, like if it took the essence of that person and then it actually was designed to help you just deal with the grief and then be a temporary thing, then that would be one thing.
You get prescribed this fake person by your psychologist, like.
But instead, but also like his personality was kind of like I'm always gonna be here kind of personality. You know what I mean? Like he was the type of person to be there for you. So.
I'm looking this up and it looks like something like this has already happened.
Ooh, no, thank you.
To a degree. It says, in 2015, Luca co-founder Eugenia Kudya used her AI startup resources to build a similar online service using her deceased friend's chat logs. Although the result is impressive on some points, a lot of people received mixed reactions to that, and we're trying to compare her situation to the
but if you think about it, so we had SimSimi, right? Which was literally, it's a computer thing that you talk to it and it reacts to whatever you say. And then based off of, like, you can train it to say certain things when you say something to it. So that's the exact same thing, except for you have a platform now. Like, you have a whole person's dialogue to insert into this same program to continue to talk back and forth with you.
And it's crazy because, like, even within that episode, I think what was very clever is they start off by, like, the little texts that she sends him. Like, he makes, like, a joke. And she's like,
exactly.
Oh, you know, he would have...
Because that's
totally
exactly
what
he would have said.
Yeah. And that's different because humor is something that currently computers have a really hard time with. So, like, if the technology was advanced enough that robotics could imitate humor, like,
I mean,
that's a big
that's
deal.
what I was going to say. Siri does humor now.
But that's...
No, that's
I mean,
not.
it's not
that's
the
not,
same, but
that's
it's...
not AI doing the humor. That's somebody programming the humor.
Well,
Something.
But that's what I'm saying. It's programmed in. That's what
telling it to be funny is a lot different than it being funny on its own, though, because it doesn't know what funny is. I think.
But I think if you're taking someone's personality, like, if you're telling it to be funny like Brian would, you know what I mean? And it's seeing how Brian would be funny, that's not that hard. Like, SimSimi could do exactly that. Like, literally, if I go into the SimSimi app and say, when I say this, you say this back, it would do that. Or if I just, like, you know what I mean? Like, that type of stuff exists now.
Well, very rudimentary, I'd say. I think it's
I don't know enough about it to say if it could happen. A thing that I was, I guess, intrigued by the episode, I know we don't have a lot of time, is they also spent a lot of time on how weird it is. Like, how weird it is, because you have this thing that you're basically trying to teach to be this person.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big point of the episode, was that it's really hard. And, like, you know, he'd say something and she'd say, that's not what he would say. And he'd say, well, what would he say?
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, first she'd say, well, you're supposed to come after me. And then she'd say, well, no, you're not. And the robot just listens. And that's not how people don't just do what you tell them to.
Yeah,
and I that was the thing that I thought was really...
I like how it incorporated her bad recollections, too. Like, he was just a little bit taller than he was, and his skin was flawless, and, like, all those things, too. But, yeah.
I mean, part of what he said was... the pictures we keep tend to show the best sides of us. So.
That's true. Why do we feel the need to try to have a sense of immortality? Like, why do we want the things we create to live on past us? Why do we want people to remember us so badly after we're gone? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a variety of answers and stuff like that. But what is it within the human spirit that so desperately does not want to just be dust?
That I am not dust.
I think.
I mean,
in the same way that we want to be thought of while we're alive, it's just kind of like, once I'm gone, you should think of me too. You know, I mean, we think about other people that are gone, so you want everybody to think of you when you're gone. You know?
Yeah, and like I also just I feel like, you know, there's this vast amount of people. And, like, within the populace, you get lost. And within the history of the populace, you know, all the people who lived and died, you get lost. And then you back out even further, and there's just, like, everything in the whole universe. And it's like, okay, well, where am I? And, like, what am I doing here? And, like, if you don't feel that you are leaving an impact, then maybe you don't feel like you have a reason to be here at all. It's like, was I even here? It's validation, I think.
But in the scheme of things, at some point when you zoom out, you're going to be forgotten, right? Like, it's going to happen eventually. There's no exceptions to this. At some point, every single person who's ever existed will not be remembered, or there won't be anyone left to remember them. So, like,
I mean, there's probably going to be an anti-Big Bang that's going to destroy everything. So.
Yeah, at some point, the sun will go out, or, you know, humanity will end. You know, I'm just saying. So, I guess, like... And most people, I would say, if I had to guess, I bet the average person probably won't be remembered more than, like, 50 years after they die.
Unless you're Jesus.
Yeah, unless you're, like, Jesus or a famous musician or something like that. And even then, it's, like, up in the air for some things. Like, you know, like, you can say things like, I don't know, that John Lennon will be remembered for... But there will be a point when John Lennon isn't remembered, even though he's a famous musician, right? At this point in time, we know of him, you know?
I mean, to answer your first question, kind of, a little more. They say your purpose in life is to find your purpose, right? So you want by the end of your life to show that you had a purpose, you know? So if you leave an impact in some way to be remembered for longer, that shows that you had a purpose. This was your purpose for being here. You know? Whatever you left behind was your purpose for being here.
So do you think a person's purpose is achieved through the things that they're remembered by after they died? I would argue that I think a purpose can be achieved and is more celebrated when that person does things when they're alive. You know?
I mean, it's more celebrated, but the stuff that's remembered after you're gone is like the stuff that sticks, you know?
But
Like
I don't,
the stuff that I don't know.
well, I feel like I don't think you're wrong, but I'm also like thinking about how there are people who have accomplished great things and they're famous, but nothing happened with that when they were living. So I'm thinking of like Edgar Allan Poe, or like Nikola Tesla, or like all of these people who, you know, they did amazing things, but that didn't help them while they were alive, and it doesn't matter to them now that they're dead, because they're dead, and it really, who cares? For me personally, and I'm not trying to say bad things against anybody who feel differently, I feel like the desire to be immortalized in something is something that I work to grow past, because I think it's distracting, and it drives me crazy, and it's impossible, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much you think you're remembered, there's always more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so you can get like Marie Curie famous, where like, you know, people know Marie Curie, or you can get like David Bowie famous, you know, and they're different, but no matter what, there's always going to be something bigger. And if you get lost in that, where you're only trying to leave something here, you're not really doing anything anymore. That benefits you, and then what good is it? I don't know.
I read a really interesting short story, actually, I heard from another podcast, and the short stories, like, this wasn't like an actual speculation, it was more of just like a fun kind of thing to think about. The whole idea is that when you die, you're in purgatory until the last person on Earth who remembers you is also gone. So the room is filled with all these famous people that people still remember from centuries past, but the people who, like, were all alone and didn't have families and were forgotten after like 5 years were like instantly granted passage into heaven. And so it was interesting because you had like one guy who was still inside this room who had been there for like...
Let's hope they don't make robots of people so that we can be forgotten.
Like there was one guy who had a bridge named after him after he like jumped off of it or something like that, like 200 years ago. No. So he was still in this purgatory because people knew the name of the bridge, or they knew the story about this guy who like was on the bridge or whatever. And so stuff like that. And that made me wonder too, like I wonder how long it'll be before the last person on Earth forgets who I ever am, you know?
Do you have to like go back to purgatory if somebody like finds something you wrote? Like, look at this weird short story about newspapers, and like Joe just goes back into purgatory. Like that would be really funny.
Every time someone watches One Day, Joe is sucked back into purgatory.
I feel like the whole idea though is that there was like a finite ending. Like there will be the last day that someone discovers.
So it's not just like there's some ultimatum dangling overhead that is aware when okay.
The internet is going to keep everyone in purgatory.
Oh no, we're screwed. I have a Facebook. No.
But if no one ever checked out your Facebook after a certain point ever again, like there could be that point.
But the memory is
friends
still
on
there.
Facebook.
Yeah, but if no one ever observes it, then it's as good as not ever.
Stop adding friends on Facebook.
But no. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
If you're saying if nobody ever looks at it, then it's as good as not leaving anything behind.
Yeah.
And people leave stuff behind that nobody looks at. Does that mean that they didn't ever make it? Like, I'm confused now.
No, I'm just saying, like, if no one remembered your Facebook page and no one ever stumbled across it ever again, there would be nobody on Earth who remembers that Facebook page, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
So
the moral of the story is don't create content unless people are definitely going to look at it all the time.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really intriguing, like, interesting way of thinking about it.
No, that's an interesting story prompt.
But, yeah, I guess
Poor Jesus.
Poor Jesus.
Jesus is forever.
Dude had to be crucified. And then that happens.
Poor Jesus.
It's like, really, Dad?
Yeah, so I guess it's just like, I just think it's interesting to think about. I wonder even if it's somewhat tied into just our animalistic desire to create more of us. You know,
I was
wired
thinking
into
that.
us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
because if you go to that, like, I guess it would make sense. Like, you need to leave something behind. You need to
Right.
leave something behind. Well,
Your
kids
DNA
are really easy.
Yeah.
Let's do that one.
your DNA has to continue in some way, right? Like that's like the
Yeah.
whole like.
Let's do that one.
Let's do that one.
And the fact that we've evolved towards this immediate procreative need, like that's not our only purpose anymore. Like that's not like the only thing that makes
Yeah,
us.
things are getting weird now.
It's weird because now we get into these weird conundrums where like we still have some of these weird desires, but we don't necessarily have the physical desires for some of these things. You know, like.
It's like the need is still there, but the answer to the need is not as immediate anymore.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
I can still like go crazy for hunger, but that doesn't mean my first instinct is to go out and kill a goat. If my instinct might be to like
Kill a goat.
my instinct now might be to try to find a McDonald's as soon as possible. You know, like it's weird how we've evolved has.
I really want to find the person whose instinct it was to kill a goat. Like, that's just...
I want to be friends with that guy.
Jesse has something to say.
You have to be mindful, though, about how we're laughing at that, because it's very classist for us to laugh at that.
I just meant the goat part.
That's what I mean. Like, some people, that is their substance. So to say, like, oh, we've evolved past that, no, it's that we
Well,
have economic...
our culture.
Well,
Well, yeah, I'm saying in Cleveland, Ohio, we don't have to
Yeah,
kill a
but
goat.
we're not the base of existence.
Well, yeah.
We haven't
I
That's what I'm
evolved
saying. I just
past.
want to be mindful and careful here.
Yeah, yeah. No, I got you.
I think what he meant is like, I don't know.
I meant like we, as in the people in this room, like don't have to go out
we haven't
and hunt.
evolved. I mean, I don't know. How to explain.
I think
don't
that's a
know.
valid point.
In the same way that there's some people who do
It
just
is a
want to
valid
go
point.
out and have children, and like I'm just saying that that's not like something we think of on a day-to-day basis. Like I gotta have kids right now.
Maybe
to
instead of the
continue
word
my
evolve, we
existence.
should use the word change.
That's
It's just
probably better.
different.
Yeah. It's sponsor time, and
This poor sponsor on the death episode. Everybody's gonna be so pumped to buy something.
Well, you know, we want to enjoy the time we have.
Consumerism!
before we die, so we fill that void with lovely things to buy.
And
Things.
the internet.
And actually, this time,
Porn and things.
since we always
to fill the void.
that's, yep. This is low.
For a second, I thought you were going
did you
to
say-
a website called Porn and Things. I was like, oh, okay.
Because isn't most of human existence just summarized as lonely and horny? Just that's essentially the human condition. Like-
Anyway,
I thought typically since we improvise an ad, I actually wrote up a script for us this time.
What?
So I thought we could
Oh
read this
my
script together
gosh.
to advertise this lovely product. I'm sending as the first line.
Oh, God. Here
Oh
we go.
boy. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hey, Amber.
Yes, Brian.
Do you wear socks?
Looking at my socks. Hell no! What do you think I am? Some kind of yuppie white color freak?
You should try it. They are very soft, and you can wear them on your hands and turn them into puppets.
Oh, what? Joe, what is this line?
But where do I get amazingly shagadelic socks, Brian?
Shut up, Joe. No one was talking to you. I'd recommend getting them from
Is that bomb ass?
Bombas.
Oh!
Bomb from
But I think
bombas.com.
they intentionally did it. Like that's kind of like bomb ass.
They make the most comfortable socks in the world.
Well, I'll be a cheese weasel.
Shut the up, Joe. The adults are talking. Brian, what else makes these socks so delightfully tubular?
I'm glad you asked. They have all kinds of high-tech features, like arch support, technology that keeps them from slipping down, and they got rid of that annoying bump at the end of most other socks. Plus, for every pair that you buy, they donate another pair to a homeless shelter. And if you need them on your hands, you can turn them. Wait,
if you wear them on your hands.
I don't know where I saw it. If you wear them on your hands, you can turn them into puppets.
That sounds really clutch.
Yeah, that sounds really ace pal.
Shut up, Joe! How do I get these pimp... Oh, shoot. How do I get this pimpin' opportunity, Brian?
Just get on your nearest internet device and go to getbombas.com.
Getbomass.com. Oh, shoot.
/ can you not. Once again, that's getbombas.com / can you not for 15% off your haul crap. Off your first purchase.
Okay, you can come out of the corner now, Joe. Yes, you can take off that dunce cap, too. Do you want to say anything?
I like socks.
Amen. Amen.
I've never said the word clutch before.
Just letting you know, this is all on my
Yes!
What?
I'm so glad.
the heck?
Okay, when it was scripted to say shut the up, girl, I thought she actually.
It just comes so naturally to
I was
me.
like, wow, that was just so.
Some
productive.
acting, yeah. So that was fun. So we're gonna keep having fun. We're not gonna keep having fun. So to bring it back.
to
Oh, okay, yeah. So to bring it back down again, Brian and Joe and Jesse know that one of my friends committed suicide in September. So that was a whole thing that I am in the process of dealing with still. So I just wanted to read this thing that actually gave me a lot of comfort. Because I am an atheist. I don't know. Yeah, just so you know. So a lot of people who I am friends with who knew this person are quite religious. So they were able to find a lot of solace just within church and scripture and whatnot. And that didn't really work for me. So I think it was in January. I was just like, how do I deal with this? And I found this thing that you guys may have seen before. But it's called You Want a Physicist to Speak at Your Funeral. I'm going to read it to you. It's not very long. So you want a physicist to speak at your funeral. You want the physicist to talk to your grieving family about the conservation of energy so they will understand your energy has not died. You want the physicist to remind your sobbing mother about the first law of thermodynamics, that no energy gets created in the universe and none is destroyed. You want your mother to know that all of your energy, every vibration, every BTU of heat, every wave of every particle that was her beloved child remains with her in this world. You want the physicist to tell your weeping father that amid energies of the cosmos, you gave as good as you got. At one point you'd hope that the physicist would step down from the pulpit and walk to your broken-hearted spouse there in the pew and tell him or her that all the photons that ever bounced off your face, all the particles whose paths were interrupted by your smile, by the touch of your hair, hundreds of trillions of particles, have raced off like children, their ways forever changed by you. And as your widow rocks in the arms of a loving family, may the physicist let them know that all the photons that bounced from you were gathered in the particle detectors that are in their eyes, and those photons created within them constellations of electromagnetically charged neurons whose energy will go on forever. And the physicist will remind the congregation of how much all of our energy is given off as heat. There may be a few fanning themselves with their programs as he says it, and he will tell them that the warmth that flowed through you in life is still here, still part of all that we are, even as we who mourn continue the heat of our own lives. And you want the physicist to explain that those who loved you, that they need not have faith. Indeed, they should not have faith. Let them know that they can measure, that scientists have measured precisely the conservation of energy and found it accurate, verifiable, and consistent across space and time. You can hope your family will examine the evidence and satisfy themselves that science is sound and that they'll be comforted in knowing your energy is still around. According to the laws of conservation of energy, not a bit of you is gone. You're just less orderly.
That's dope.
That's really beautiful.
This helped me a lot.
It's very touching.
This helped me a lot, guys. So I wanted to share it with you.
Yeah.
And the other thing that helped me a lot, just because this is what we're talking about, is for a second I was going to start going to the Zendo and meditate and stuff. It's going to be cool. I didn't actually because I ran out of time, but another thing that the person who was guiding the meditation at the time said was, you are a wave and you think you are separate from the ocean. And I think this is all related somehow, but I don't really know. But that's how I coped with things. I don't know how close death has affected you, but that's how I coped. How did you guys cope with things?
Oh man, big questions. You want to go first, Brian?
As far as death, I don't think I've ever really like coped with it. Like, I've kind of just like I put it to the side, and then when I have time to think about it, like to deal with, like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as grief goes, like I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't deal with it really.
It hasn't been a thing that you've had to deal with.
No. I mean, somewhat to a degree. Like, I've been in situations where it hasn't affected me like directly, but like indirect. Like, I had a friend in middle school that died, but he was kind of a close friend, but he wasn't like my best friend in the world, you know? So it affected me, but I don't know how to explain it. Like,
Was that the one just this past summer?
no, that was in middle school. Like, in middle school.
Well, you had another friend though, didn't you?
Yeah, I did have a friend that got shot this summer, but he was more a friend of a friend too. Like, I guess it hasn't really affected me the same way, but I don't know. It affects me. Just I try not to think about it. You know?
Yeah. I think one of the weirdest things, I think everyone does, or almost everyone does, when someone passes, is you think about how recently that person was there, you know? And there's something about the, like, 24 hours ago, this person was still existed, you know? Or, like, a week ago, I was talking to this person. We had a conversation, you know? And I think it's interesting that we do that, because it's almost like, it's like we're so used to time and everything changing so gradually that when something that big changes, we're like, but that was a short span of time. There's no way that something that big could happen in a short span of time. Like,
I didn't know people did. I do that. I didn't know other people did that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
cool.
I think what happens for me, like, an example, when Shelby's mom passed, right? Like, it affected me, but my first instinct was not just to think about that, but to look at other people that were close to me. Like, I looked at Shelby and said, wow, she's really hurting right now. And that was painful to me. But then I looked at, like, my mom, and I was like, if she passed, I would be destroyed right now.
oh yeah.
And
I haven't had that person that really hit me hard in the same way.
And I think another thing that it affects the experience, I mean, besides just how well you know the person, is the age of the person. Because I've had 3 grandparents pass away now.
Right.
And it's not that it wasn't painful, but it didn't affect me as profoundly as this did. And it's there's something about somebody who's your age dying suddenly.
Yeah.
Like,
Or younger.
Yeah, well, I haven't known anybody younger than me to die, but
I've known a few people younger than me to die. But again, like, for me, it was like, okay, so I know someone that was 13 that died. And my first instinct was to go, wow, my brother is 12. What if he died next year? What if he died tomorrow?
You use your own experiences to compare what it might be like, right?
yeah.
Right. Like, when my friend in middle school died, I was like, wow, what if my best friend died right now? Looking at his best friends, and that made me sad.
Yeah, I don't know. The way I tend to process things, I go through things. Like, I kind of cycle through things, like, over and over and over and over and over again in my head until I find a way through it, I guess. So, like, I get stuck on stuff, and I can't get unstuck until I keep processing it, like, for forever and ever and ever. So I'd been really, really stuck on this. And just finding that thing that I read was really amazingly helpful. Yeah. I don't know. So, at least in this case, I mean, obviously different experiences, you know, but in this case, like, I don't know, it didn't work to shove it over.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason at least one of the reasons I make so much, because I think about the people and friends and stuff that I've had who have passed, and like I want to remember these people. I want to have recordings of these people and hang out with people and have that video evidence and pictures and you know, say, hey, we made something together. That was a lot of fun that day, you know? And I don't know, maybe that's kind of selfish. I feel like maybe that's a little selfish.
Well, having
but-
something tangible is really powerful, especially
Yeah.
once you've lost someone. Like
That's
being
true.
able to look at this and go, we were here.
They were here.
Like we did this.
Mhm.
They were here. Like that's not that's really, I think that's really a rather basic response. Like,
But
to
do you think
something
it's
like this.
anything like the first thing that we talked about, where is it bad to overly preserve somebody? Like, if you do too much of that, are you essentially creating a crutch for yourself in the future? Like,
well, I think that depends on a lot of like, why are you doing it? Like, are you doing it because you enjoy it and because you like looking at it, or are you cataloging as you go, or are you going to catalog? I
I
guess.
see what you're saying.
So I think that depends a lot on your mindset.
Right.
It depends on how you're doing it.
Right. That's a really good point.
It's funny because when I decided on this topic, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, I've never really talked about death, but there's a lot to talk about with
man.
it, you know?
I mean, it's one of the only things that we've always talked about since the beginning of humanity.
Mhm.
You know, it's the one. There's very few things that everyone can conversate about. You know, because we all have such different experiences.
And think about the fact that, like, we didn't know what it was, so we came up with all these different solutions for what we, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, discount any religion because I have faith, so...
Mhm.
There are a lot of faiths. We've done a lot
Yeah.
of thinking about this.
Yeah, so, but then to hear something that this is factual, like, this is what we know about death and about what happens after death. You know what I mean? That's soothing.
Yeah, and the other thing, just I don't know how much time we have left.
It's up, but we can keep going.
Another thing that I think also helped me personally. I'm a very objective. I try to be very objective. I don't think with feelings very often. I do logic really. It might be bad logic, but it's logic in my brain. Taking solace in what you don't know is very powerful, or at least it was for me, because it's this idea. Because I got stuck in this rut of like, oh my God, we're gonna die and we're gonna go away and there's like nothing here, and it was really, really bad. But the fact of the matter is nobody knows what happens.
Yeah.
And that's actually really, really comforting, at least for me.
Yeah. And some people, you know, like when we were talking earlier about just like wanting to be remembered and stuff, I think I did always have this interest in like wanting to be remembered and stuff, but now I realize, because I was always scared, like, oh, I'm gonna die and then look back and be like, I could have done this, this, and this. But now that I've shifted my mind to just accept that, in my opinion, I don't know, and I don't necessarily think that I don't think there's necessarily any sort of consciousness. So if there isn't, then I won't be able to look back and have regrets in that kind of manner, you know? So I might as well just enjoy everything now and hang out with cool people and do cool things and
Like
make
podcasts.
awesome podcasts and just enjoy everything now, and you know what? Then I don't have anything to stress out about and go, oh, I should have done that, you know? So
What Amber just said is like unbelievably powerful, because if you think about it, everybody lives off of the fear, like, of what they don't know.
yeah.
Like, nearly everyone lives off of the fear of what they don't know. Like, the unknown is probably the scariest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Because you can connect that to pretty much
That's
any other fear. Right?
Anything. Literally
you know,
anything.
Fear of heights, it's unknown whether you're
And
going
the
to fall
fact
off of
that you have come to terms with the unknown is very powerful.
Well, so the alternative, just in my brain, is I know I'm going to die and go away. I know I'm going to die and turn into nothing. So that's kind of, I guess, what I was running from at that point. And it felt like this inescapable fact. It was a fact. That's what was going to happen. There's nothing here, like, sort of thing. It's really depressing. I don't recommend it. But just somebody say, like, just because I found that short thingy in an article, and there were more things in the, I couldn't find the article, but there were more things in the article, and just the idea that I can take a step back and go, that's not a fact. I don't know that. I'm afraid of something. I'm afraid of a monster under my bed. Like, I don't, there's nothing indicating to me one way or the other what happens. I don't know. I'm pretending like I'm smarter than I am, and I need to stop because I don't know. And that,
Right.
that
That's
is very
crazy.
comforting. I don't
That
know.
is, I mean, it is comforting, Because, I mean, basically what you just gave us was, all right, we're scared of what we don't know. Well, this is what we do know, so you shouldn't be scared of this. Now, why are you scared of this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and I think the more I think of death as a unifying factor, you know, because like I said before, that's something I just find so interesting is how sometimes it does feel like there's nothing all of us can. Do you want me to close that?
No, I'm sorry.
Sometimes it feels as though there's nothing at all, especially given the current political climate, that we can ever agree upon, you know. But there's some things that you can, no matter how different a person is, that I think there's certain things that we all need, and there's certain things we can agree upon. And that's stuff like death is gonna happen. Like, we all need to eat. We all need shelter. Parents should never have to bury their children. We all want to be healthy. We want to be happy. You know, those are the things that I think interest me most, because those are the base level things that we can all relate to, and that gives me hope that we can find solutions to things, you know. So, yeah, that's how I see it.
Good talk, guys.
Good talk, man. Deep talk.
Good. I'm happy with this talk.
Yeah, that was good.
That's great.
If you want to listen to
Do a
more
part 2.
deep talks and other non-deep talks, you can check out our podcast on iTunes. If you give us a review.
Unbelievably not deep.
It's pretty random. It's some pretty goofy stuff. But yeah, if you give us a review on iTunes, we'll actually read your review on the air. If you want to give us any feedback, you can go to canyonotpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or a lot of your favorite podcasting apps. We're pretty easy to find. All you need to do is look up Can You Not. What did we learn today?
Learned a lot. I don't know where to begin, but I know where it ends.
Oh.
That's what I learned.
Okay.
Joe, will you go next? I want to find something.
Sure. I learned that I think things like death are easier to accept and think about when you talk about them with people you care about. So, like us.
This is less of a thing that I learned and more of a thing that I just want to shout out. Pro tip for anyone who's thinking about committing suicide: don't. The helpline is 1-800-273-8255.
Awesome.
That's a great note to end on.
And, gosh, I don't really know how to work Can You Not?
Just stay, guys. Just do it.
Can you please?
Can you just keep doing it?
Boom.
Hey.